message.
I did not, but that's okay.
Okay, my password in my computer just locked. I don't know what's going on. I have the one I put in all the time, and I don't know.
Okay, no
Yeah,
problem.
and I tried FaceTime, but it wouldn't accept FaceTime.
Right. Welcome to week 4 of It's All About You.
All right.
Yes.
And I'd like to just reach in my drawer for a moment. And I'd like to start off and just hear about your week. So, Carrie, why don't you start and just let's hear a little bit about your week. What's up for you? What's good, going well? What's not going well? Did you try the morning pages? Carrie? Carrie, did we lose you? I think we lost you. So, Victor, why don't you start and just let's hear what's new and good for you this week.
Everything is beautiful and everything is fantastic. I went to Toastmasters. I always enjoy it. Now I participate in 4 clubs, which gives me a great opportunity to talk about my passion, which is peace. So I gave a couple of speeches. Tomorrow I'm gonna give another one. And I'm still developing my website. It's gonna come out the 15th of this month. And I'm very excited. It's very beautiful. It's something that I feel, and I've been working on it for a long time.
That's exciting.
So everything is very, very beautiful.
Lovely. And did you try the morning pages activity?
I tried. I forgot to tell you that I practice my knowledge. It's a set of techniques that I had received a few years ago. And that's the first thing I do in the morning when I open my eyes, and that's the last thing I do when I close my eyes. So it was a little bit difficult for me to try the exercise because this practice it's very, very solid on me, and I could not just remove it. But I thought about it, and it seems to be a nice exercise. In my particular situation, I have something that really puts me in touch with myself directly. And consequently, I didn't think I needed it, but I read about it, and it seems very nice for people who are interested in it.
Hmm. And when you refer to knowledge, did you receive the techniques from Prem Rawat?
Correct.
I'm very familiar with the techniques. I have knowledge myself.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I've had knowledge since 2004.
Oh, wow. Well, I got it when I was 18 years old,
Uh-huh.
1975. Uh, it has just been an amazing experience. It requires a habit, a solid habit, but it's beautiful. It's magnificent.
Yeah, I thought from some of the things you said that was one of your practices, actually. Cool. Well, I'm glad that you have a
So
practice.
I'm back on.
Oh, hi there.
I
I said
can.
everything, and then you weren't there.
We didn't
Whoops,
hear
are
any
you
of it.
there?
We were in suspense.
Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it. Okay. Did Victor finish? And is Victor the only one on the call?
It looks like Becky Joe might be, but we can't really. She's not there's no sound or video from her. Looks like she's.
There's no sound.
Oh.
There's no sound because I'm making noise.
There you are.
Hi.
So she is on the call. So Carrie, what's new and good? Oh, look, there she is.
Wow, she looks skinny.
Sorry, now you're just going to see my house.
What's new and good, Carrie?
So what I was saying before was that I found a dramatic difference in how I feel in the morning from writing down my thoughts. I will go into that in a moment. I found that I hated when the alarm clock went off, this week in particular. I do have to, when the alarm clock goes off, my husband's been in court for the last 2 weeks, so I have had to get him some things done in the morning. And so I set my alarm clock earlier so that I could do the whole process. And I was able to do it 6 of the days. And I found it appeared that there was a lot of stuff that was in my head all day long, because after I wrote everything down, I really felt a huge sense of power. And my fogginess this week was lifted, which is totally incredible to me. And my week, I just had a lot more ease and felt more relaxed, even though I had a lot of accomplishments. And, I did more things this week than I thought that I could. And then yet I relaxed more this week also. Just a great balance this week.
It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. So do you want to tell us a little bit about, did you do the stream of consciousness writing with the morning pages? Did you just let yourself?
Yes. Yes. That's what was totally unbelievable. I mean, I was just able to get everything out and to create possibilities for the day. And, it was so powerful and so, mostly positive. It really just gave me such a sense of drive, just letting go of everything that I wrote down.
That's great. Thank you for that. Now,
thank you.
You just said something really interesting, and I want to touch on it. You made the comment, well, most of what you wrote was positive. And I just want to ask everybody on the call, actually, is something wrong if we're not happy and positive all the time?
No.
What
it just is.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Becky Jo? Is something wrong if we're not happy and positive all the time?
No, I think life it's like the tides. We ebb and we flow. It's unrealistic to think we would be happy all the time.
Yeah. Victor, Sorry, carry on.
No, whether you get bad news or it's just a mood swing or whatever. If I drink too much coffee, I get a little crabby.
Or if you don't get enough coffee first thing in the morning, you get a little crabby too.
Oh, it's so funny.
Victor, what are your thoughts? Do you think something's wrong if we're not happy and positive all the time?
No, our body reacts to chemicals. As Becky said, if you get extra coffee, you get all excited, and then when it goes down, you might find yourself a little bit drop. The happiness is an emotion. It's not something that we should look for, but there is a feeling within ourselves that is constant, that you can really relate on it, and that is another kind of set of tools that you choose within yourself that are besides your emotions, and that could be called happiness, but it's really not happiness. It's peace. It's a feeling of feeling good, I should say. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that it's a feeling in the body. A lot of people in our society think that happiness is this destination in itself, and that once we become happy, all our problems will go away and life will be great. And something that we're going to take a look at this week and next week is the being of happiness. Because we can be happy regardless of what's going on in the world or in our lives around us, regardless of our circumstances. And where'd you go? There you are. So one school of thought, and there are enough schools of thought in the world as there are people. So there's no one way, there's no right way. But one school of thought is that there are elements that can add to our feeling of happiness in life, our being of happiness. And there are repetitive actions that we can take that can help us be happy. And one of those is contemplation. And I'm sorry, Sebastian. Hello. I wanted to check in with you. How have you been for the past couple of weeks?
How have you been for the past couple of weeks?
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
Good. And how is your English study going?
Oh, I try to improve it, and I try to keep speaking, and reading and listening. So
Good.
It should be better because I leave on Monday.
Okay. So your last few days.
Yeah.
Good. And you're from France, correct, Sebastian?
Yes, I'm French, but I live in Martinique.
Oh, you live in Martinique.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. In Martinique, when you think about happiness, what do you think makes a person happy?
In Martinique, it's no in Martinique it's to have fun with family, friends. Yes, to not necessarily hang out, but have brunch with friends or family on Sunday. It's yes, for me it's happiness. Happiness.
So I'm hearing a lot about quality time with friends and family.
Yeah.
In this article, we talk about 4 elements to being happy, 4 ways that we can generate this feeling of happiness inside of our bodies by doing these different activities. And the first way that we talk about is contemplation.
Okay.
And I'm asking all of you, what is contemplation?
Well, let me think about that. So what is contemplation?
It's fully of nothing.
Well,
Yeah.
no, contemplation is when you examine something, when you I don't know if I would say examine. It's like you think and you explore and you sort of roll ideas around in your head.
Okay. Carrie, is that what you understand when I say contemplation?
Think about something.
Mm-hmm.
You're examining different options or choices or contemplating or questioning or without looking in the dictionary, that's what comes to my mind.
Mm-hmm. And Victor, what does anything different come to mind for you with the word contemplation?
No, I guess they are pretty much the same way that I think to contemplate something is perhaps get fascinated by something. One fascination that we humans have is look at the fire, like when we go to camping and we make fire, we love to see the fire. We contemplate it naturally. So I assume contemplation refers to something that you can contemplate and it triggers something in you that gives you some kind of joy, like sunset, sunrise, or the clouds. Sometimes they get beautiful formations and you see them and you say, wow. Things of that nature. I believe that's contemplation.
Lovely. I'm going to share a document with you now. And there's a great quote by Tom Robbins. Well, I believe life is a Zen koan, that is, an unsolvable riddle. But the contemplation of that riddle, even though it cannot be solved, is in itself transformative. And if the contemplation is of high enough quality, you can merge with the divine. Contemplation in the Christian tradition was viewed as a time in which one thought of the Word of God and opened themselves up to divine union. Contemplation in modern times is regarded by some as an opportunity to step back from our daily actions and recenter ourselves on our priorities and values. It's all well and good to be busy and productive, but are our actions in alignment with what we want and who we want to be in the world? Contemplation is the opportunity to be the observer of our experience and detach from our actions and reactions. It allows space and time to question ourselves and to receive insight into how we can move toward what we want. It's important to set time aside daily, weekly, monthly, and annually to contemplate our lives and our beliefs. By taking that time, we ensure that we continue to grow and learn. This is a question for everybody. Do you take time to contemplate?
From this perspective, what they define as contemplation, it's very important you take time for yourself because you are number one. If you don't feel good, anything around you is not going to be good. You are not going to look the beauty of it because what makes it feel beautiful is your state of being. So you must take care of that aspect. And I do take almost 2 hours on my busy day to contemplate because nothing is as important as to really feel that joy within yourself, that being, that presence. And so, yes, I take time to contemplate.
So are you considering the time that you're practicing your techniques your contemplation time?
from this perspective, obviously I can define my techniques as a complete union with myself, with that power that keeps the whole universe, and a drop of it is within myself. By being in touch with it, all your tools, all your senses get tuned, and everything is absolutely magnificent, and you can see all the blessings that come to you. You live in gratitude and in peace. Yes, from this perspective, I could say that my practice is a contemplation.
Okay. Do you, or do any of you actually ever take time to, meditation is one action, and that we're actually going to talk about meditation next. I actually distinguish between contemplation and meditation. And just the way that I'm distinguishing it and talking about it in this course is that contemplation is an active looking at and thinking about our life, our day, what someone said and how we felt in reaction to that, or what we did in reaction to that, or what we want in our lives and whether we're getting closer to what we want or further from what we want. So I distinguish between meditation and contemplation. Do any of you take time in your day or your week, do you set time aside to sit and be with yourself and your thoughts? Not really, it's not so much a connection to the divine, although it can be, but it's also a thinking and a looking at our lives. Do any of you take time to just take a step back and be the observer of your life?
So are you looking at this in a way of analyzing how things are going or how they are, or are you looking at them in our goals, things that we want to achieve, things to do on a monthly basis, 6 months, year? I mean, are you encompassing all of the above?
Yeah.
So yes, before this last year, I would say for the past 5 years before that, I did not. But in this past year, I have done that with the help of some classes that I've been taking. And it just, it's a total different feeling than just letting your, days pass you by. And it's a feeling of accomplishment and just knowing that we can create, whatever we can set possibilities to be in our life.
Yeah. Do you ever drive in your car and realize that before you knew it, you'd missed your exit on the highway? And you've driven,
supposed to admit to that now?
for 10 miles, and you suddenly missed your exit. Has that ever happened to any of you?
It doesn't happen too often, but it did happen in the last year.
We can go through life like that sometimes, on autopilot. Mm-hmm. And we're just going down the road and we're just doing our thing, and then before we know it, we've missed our exit, or we've taken a turn that we didn't really want to take. And the contemplation is an opportunity to stop, take a step back, take a look around, and decide if this is really the direction we want to go in or not. So it gives us space in our lives. And Victor brought up. What's that?
No, it's okay. Go on. It's okay.
It's okay. What were you going to say, Carrie?
So it is like being the observer of our life. Just being present. I mean, being awake and not just being on autopilot.
Exactly. And we talked about this in session 2, where we were talking about bringing that awareness to our lives. And contemplation is one of those steps where if we bring awareness to our moments, then we start to feel a deep residing sense of happiness and fulfillment because we're in our moments. It's when we allow our moments of our lives to pass us by that we can feel disconnected.
Well, I totally get that. If I'm in the moment, then I'm relaxed. I don't have anxiety. And if I'm always planning the future or looking what's next, then I'm not in the moment. And, it's not fulfilling as being just present to what's going on right now.
Yeah. So, another tool that we can use in our toolbox is meditation. And this is a question for everybody. Do you see a difference between meditation and contemplation?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the difference for you?
It's just a stillness. It's not thinking. It's just floating. It's just being. It's no thoughts coming in and out. Just total relaxation. It's like an out of body experience. I mean, it's like you're not even in your body.
Yeah, so I'm going to share another document with you. And again, these are just opinions. It's not the truth for everybody, and there are schools of thought for everybody. Meditation can be seen as a means of transforming the mind. This practice calms the mind, helps stabilize our emotions, and helps strengthen our ability to observe our mind without becoming entangled in our thoughts. There are many different meditation practices that can be used for achieving different results. Meditation can be passive or active. What do you think we mean when we say meditation can be passive or active? And that's a question for everybody. What's an example of a passive meditation?
Probably emptying your mind.
Okay, so maybe a sitting meditation, is that what you're referring to?
Well, I don't know. Some people, like, I can't do this, but some people do this thing where they try to empty their mind of all thoughts. I would think that would be passive.
Have you ever tried emptying your mind of all thoughts?
It doesn't work for me.
That's a very active exercise. If you're trying to empty your mind, you're consciously trying to do something, aren't you?
I guess, I don't know.
Have you when they say don't think of a pink elephant, what are you going to think about? So it's interesting because people, I for years, I would sit and I would try and to me, passive meditation is something like a sitting meditation, or just being with my breath is a passive meditation. So if that would be an example of a passive meditation, what might be an active meditation? Do you ever feel in the zone when you're doing an activity or a sport?
Sure.
Okay, so that might be an example of an active meditation. When I used to clean boats, I would clean all day long and I would do very repetitive movements, and my body would sink into a rhythm, and it would be a form of meditation for me. And my mind would not be involved, and I would be with what was going on. So there can be active meditation or passive meditation. I know, Victor, you have a meditation practice.
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't have a meditation practice.
No, I have something that's called knowledge, but it's not meditation.
Okay.
Meditation, that, as Becky said, is try to blank your mind somehow, which is something impossible because that's your neurons are on frenetic activity to keep you alive. Consequently, you cannot empty your mind. That's just a dream. But the practice I have, don't go through that. It goes directly to yourself, to your heart. And it feels that life, that power that is within yourself. So it has nothing to do with the mind. The mind will always be talking. That's why it was created. So some people at some point they thought practice of knowledge was meditation, but it's really not. It's a connection with yourself that really puts you in another level. To everybody, even if you cannot stop your mind, you practice, your mind can keep running, but you feel peace, you feel joy. So it's really not meditation.
So I'm sorry, I must have misspoke. I apologize. I'm not classifying meditation as emptying one's mind. I think it's impossible to empty the mind of thought. So I apologize if I gave the wrong impression, that I'm saying that meditation is the emptying of one's mind. And maybe I'll...
No, you're right.
So I apologize.
Really no, I was not referring to you, but this is a general idea that everybody has, that meditation is empty your mind. Becky mentioned it, and Kari mentioned it, and pretty much all the people think that meditation is empty your mind. But I was just saying that I really don't practice meditation. I tried it before. It never worked. It didn't get me anywhere. But many people do it, and they get benefits from it. And I'm happy that that's a job for them. In my particular situation, it didn't, but many people swear for it.
Mm. So passive meditation is often done sitting in stillness or simply focusing on the breath and observing the thoughts. One can also use an object, such as a candle or a mantra or idea, to focus one's thoughts. Active meditation occurs when one becomes so engaged in an activity that they reach a state of being, as opposed to thinking or doing. An example of active meditation would be yoga or reaching the zone in an activity. So meditation can often be experienced as a unification within oneself. It's when the mind, the spirit, and the body become one. And these are some breathing. This is a breathing meditation that's really simple and easy to practice. It's 8 different breaths, and you do each breath 5 times. So there's a total of 40 breaths. And I'll email this to everybody. And it's an opportunity to experience that connection to oneself. Carrie, do you have a meditation practice?
No. My meditation is when I get, well, if I've done yoga, I'll just very minimally in a few classes of meditation. I find that when I get acupuncture, that to me is meditation. When I get massage, that's meditation. If I'm laying out on my lounge chair, that's my meditation.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing, these are all examples of stepping outside of our mind and our normal way of doing things and way of being, and really just sinking into who we are in that moment. So anything can be a meditation. Writing can be a meditation. Walking can be a meditation. Singing can be a meditation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Very nice.
Dancing could be a meditation.
Dancing is definitely a meditation.
Right.
All right. So we're going to switch gears for a moment. And we are going to talk about cooking methods. So one of the goals of the program is to look at all the areas of our lives. And we talked about cooking and how we prepare our food a little bit before. And I'm going to share a chart with you on the effects of different cooking methods on the nutrition in our food. Have you ever heard of, oh, there's the best way to cook something and not the best way? Have any of you ever heard that? One way
Well, of course.
may degrade nutrients.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite way of cooking? And that's a question for everyone. Do you have one method?
Raw.
Okay, so you like raw food.
Well, I feel it's the most nutritious. Well, you know, the reading that I've done is any form of cooking is taking out more nutrients than if you're eating it raw. Or if you're cooking in water, then everything's going into the, you know, if you're boiling, it's going into the water. If you're, you know, steaming might be a better way to retain the nutrients. Microwaving is supposed to not keep them. Heat is, you know, supposed to lessen it. This is, you know, just stuff that I've read.
Yeah, so would eating rice raw the best way to get access to the in the rice?
When Rachel.
I don't think you could eat it raw. I was, you know, talking about vegetables as far as cooking or not, or, you know, I guess fruits too.
Now, I asked that for a very specific point because I consider raw food being best one of the greatest fallacies of our time. There's this blanket statement: everything raw is better. And the truth is, there are plants. Kale, for example, is better cooked. It's actually more bioavailable when it's cooked.
Really?
Yeah, because it starts to break down the fiber. And there's salicylic acid in kale that interrupts our body's absorption of nutrients. So when it's cooked, it cooks off the salicylic acid, so we have more access to the nutrition that we're actually absorbing from the food. So I say that not to point at, you know.
Sure.
I say it to prove a point, is that, and we do this with a lot of things. Well, raw is best, or this is best, steamed is best, or baked is best, and we make these blanket statements. And I think it's something that we can easily fall into, a habit we can easily fall into without really thinking about, well, is it true in this case? Is it true for this vegetable? Is it true for this situation? Is it true for my digestion? Because if our
Mhm.
digestive system is compromised, raw food is the worst thing for it.
As far as digesting it, right?
Yeah. If the digestive system
Right.
isn't working, then you're not digesting raw food.
Right.
I wanted to point that out because there are no rules. If we go back to the beginning of the course, we were talking about bio-individuality.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that there are a lot of fruits and vegetables that really benefit from not being cooked, because there are. And I know my body tells me on a daily basis she wants raw fruits and vegetables. And some days she wants more, and some days she wants less. Now, in the winter time, and it's a little different here in Florida because we don't have such a cold winter, but we have chilly days. Now, when the weather is colder outside, do you find yourself gravitating towards what kind of foods? And this is a question for everybody.
Soup.
Warming foods.
Yeah, warming foods. Foods that are going to raise our body temperatures. Now, salads, raw foods, they're cooling foods, which we eat a lot of here in Florida because it's hot most of the time.
Right.
But when we are feeding our bodies, and this applies just as much as to when we're feeding our souls and our spirits and our minds, is giving up the concept of raw is best, or paleo is best, or gluten-free is best, or organic is best, or insert word here, and really checking in with our bodies to see what our bodies want and need.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have any thoughts or questions or comments about that? Okay. Now, all that being said, there is some scientific evidence that says that certain processes to food do certain things. So I'm going to share a document with you, and it's the effects of cooking methods on nutrition. And again, this is not the truth. This is just some information. So overcooking foods is not really the best way to go if you want to get nutrition from your food. If you boil your vegetables for an hour, chances are you're going to kill off most of the nutrients. Something else you want to be aware of is retaining the cooking fluids. So if you steam or you boil, you want to keep those cooking fluids and use them in your dish, or some people drink them. A slightly better way, quote unquote better, would be to boil or stew your foods, which means that you're incorporating the cooking fluid into the dish. Steaming foods minimizes the contact with water. And it says microwave them here. I'm sorry, I created this document, but I don't believe in microwaving foods, so I'm very surprised that that's in there. But steaming foods, it minimizes the contact with the water, so you lose less nutrients. And also, you usually don't steam foods for very long. Most people steam foods so that they're al dente or crunchy. And then not cooking them, of course, preserves a lot of the nutrients in a lot of the situations, but then there are certain foods that are not bioavailable if we don't cook them. So keeping at least some of our fruits and vegetables each day raw is a great way to make sure we're getting the gamut of nutrients. Cooking some, eating some raw, that way we're making sure we're covering all of our bases. And this is just a little chart, and it just talks about nutrient loss. When we freeze things, when we dry them, when we cook and drain, and then reheat. So it just gives an indication. Ideally, we're eating our foods fresh, and we're cooking them fresh for each meal. It's not always possible for everybody. And what we can see actually is that the vitamins are more sensitive to being lost through the cooking than the minerals. We go down here and we can take a look at the minerals. And it ranges. Different minerals are lost in different ways. But this is just a little, it's an interesting little piece of information. I'm a big fan of steaming. And I'm mainly a big fan of steaming because it's easy. And it's quick. And it preserves the integrity of the food, and it also preserves the flavors of the foods, because if you have high quality food, I believe you don't have to do a lot to it. And we talked about this a little bit a couple sessions ago when we were talking about the shopping methods and where do you get your produce and how do you get your produce. So do any of you, after having that little conversation about the cooking methods, Becky Jo, how did you cook your dinner tonight?
Well, part of my dinner was raw. Part of my dinner was it was baked but covered baked, and then we ate all the juices. Did I do good?
You did good. And Victor, what did you have for dinner tonight?
I had a salad, a nice salad, and I also have some steamed vegetables, as a matter of fact. But very nice. We don't complicate things. We just put some veggies, steam them, or do a nice salad, and that's a meal for me.
Carrie, what did you have for dinner tonight?
Well, I made wild salmon, but then I had leftover vegetables because we found a new organic restaurant called Homegrown in South Miami, and I ordered 1 extra sweet potato to bring home, 1 extra green bean caramelized with onions and some toasted almonds to bring home, and some grilled asparagus to bring home. And if I tell you, their portions there are like for 4 people, 1 portion. It's crazy. So I had plenty of food, and I put it in a glass dish, and I put it in the oven, and I baked it, and I just warmed them up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I had an apple, actually 1.5 apples, and some goat's cheese, and some pumpkin seeds, and some dates. I felt like having a really light supper this evening. So my cheese was pasteurized, but none of it was cooked. And that was perfect. So we can see that all of us require different things. And that's really the most important thing to remember with food, is always checking in with your body. What do you need, body? What do you need, body? What do you need, body? And if somebody else is doing your cooking, hopefully they're checking in with your body sometimes too. So I want to check in. We had talked about goals when we started in session 2. And I wanted to see where everyone was and how they were doing with the goals. So, who wants to start? Who wants to talk about one of their goals for the 4 weeks and talk about their progress or what's going on in that area?
Well, one of my goals was to start the cooking program for my daughter, and she did start today, and I wasn't able to go because I had to go down south with my mother to the ophthalmologist for a surgical procedure that she'll have in the next few weeks. And so it was very satisfying to myself that, we talked about it for a long time, and we talked about it and we talked about it, and it didn't get done. And I know for a fact that, I see, when you do put a date on something, it most of the time can get accomplished. If you take action on it, you're that much closer to achieving goals and getting things done when we write them down, when we put them in our calendars. And otherwise it just keeps being carried on to the next month, the next month, the next month. And this has been incredible. I've had a lot of self-satisfaction from this, because I know it's something that she's kept fighting and fighting. And I know that, when she actually does the cooking, she does enjoy it. And the whole intention was for her to be excited about doing it and loving the food and just being in the moment. So, creating that happening is very satisfying for me.
Excellent. I know another one of your goals was getting outside more.
Yes.
And how's that going?
And it's just so much better. So much better. I'm increasing my exercise program. I'm going to be walking more with my daughter, and then doing more of the weight training separately instead of doing it all at one time. So that doing it twice in a day. So being outside at least 3 days a week. And the lounge chair is looking better and better. And just being with the animals outside, and just the trees, and hugging my oak trees, and just being with the tortoise and my peacocks. And, my goal for next week is to go to the beach with my daughter. So that's another one. And, but it really makes a difference.
Wonderful. Thank you. Becky Jo, how are you doing on your goals?
Well, I've lost 14 pounds.
Wow.
Wow.
And that was
Congratulations.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And so what do you attribute that weight loss to?
Not eating.
Not eating anything?
No, but not eating food I like.
So you're not eating anything you like?
I'm limiting my intake, and I'm really eating a very simplified, dumbed down diet right now, kind of like a fast.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not forever, but it's just as a jump start.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just a real simple, a little bit of protein and vegetables, but just one type of vegetable at a time, and I like to eat multiple vegetables. So I miss my veggies.
Yeah.
But it's just a jump start, so to get me going.
So you're doing good on the carb. I know one of your goals was to not eat carbs.
Well, to limit my carbs, and I just have one carb a day.
Okay.
One simple carb a day, like just a cracker.
And how's the water drinking going?
I drink a lot of water. It keeps me up all night long.
Do you find you wake up at any time specifically or reoccurringly?
Always around 3. I don't know. I don't check the clock any other time. It depends on what time I go to bed.
I ask because it's quite common actually when people wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom to wake up around 3, between 2:30 and 4, and that's when our liver is detoxing. So one thing you might want to do is look at some liver support. Some dandelion, you can get dandelion greens. They're in season right now. And you can get dandelion tea. Some burdock root tea would also be helpful. And some beets. Beets are great for everything. And blueberries are good too. Yeah, so you can just support the liver as it's going through this detox. Because as we lose weight, we also are losing toxins. We're also detoxing on a big, and 14 pounds in 2 weeks is quick. So
Yeah, but a lot of that was pounds that I put on quickly, so it's not, now the hard stuff starts.
yeah, there was probably a fair amount of water weight first, and then, but there's still toxins. We keep toxins in our fat. So when we lose fat, we also are detoxing. So our body, our systems, our cleansing systems are working that much harder. So it's great to give them a little extra support. And you might find that it minimizes your going to the bathroom in the middle of the night too.
That'd be great.
Yes. Yeah, that can be frustrating. And Victor, I know you gave us a little bit of an update earlier. Is there anything else that you wanted to update us on with your goals?
Oh, my primary goal is going fantastic, and I don't have any issues with it. Secondary goals, which is launch my website April 15, is going well, and I'm working on my institute, which I've drafted all the plan. That will take a little longer. But my main goal, which is being aware that I'm alive, because as you have seen, I'm already 60. I don't have a lot of time left. So I want to make sure that when I leave this world, I said it was worth it. I really enjoyed it. It was magnificent. And I thank you very much. So that's my goal, and it's going well.
Excellent. Very nice. I want to share a poem with you. I didn't write it. It's by Khalil Gibran, and it talks about giving. That's something that's been coming up just in my awareness, is giving and generosity at different levels. So I know for me, and let me ask you actually, when I say giving and when I say generosity, what comes to mind?
Not being all about yourself and just being there for others in every way. The love that you give to someone, generosity, acknowledging, just opening your heart.
Okay. Thank you. And what about Sebastian, Becky Jo, Victor? When I say giving or generosity, what comes to mind?
Giving or generosity?
Okay.
What comes to mind? Answer the question. I would say it would be investing in other people and not looking for anything in return.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give my 2 cents.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to give my 2 cents, but first I want you to understand that everyone is unique. So we all have different perspectives. When I hear the word giving, I immediately go to my feelings. You have to give to life. You have to give that generosity to life, to yourself. If you try to give your generosity to others, you will put yourself in such a precarious situation that you are going to get hurt. Generosity is for you to shine, to be in love, to be in peace, to be in joy. Consequently, others will get the benefits from it. But if you try to give your generosity to others who may not really appreciate what you are giving, you are wasting your time. And the reason why I said is I came to USA not because I wanted to, but because I was getting killed a couple of times and they gave me political asylum because I tried to help people and I got in so much troubles. So I learned my lessons and I tried to just be myself and be nice and be generous with life, be generous with your body, be generous with your feelings. But don't get involved in trying to give to people because you are going to get hurt sooner or later. That's my perception.
Mm-hmm. Sebastian, do you have a thought about giving? When I say the word giving or to give.
No.
You cannot have mine. You have to have your own.
Yeah, you can't have somebody else's.
No, it's to do something for somebody, and yes, do not.
So if you were giving and generous, you would give me that orchid. It's an inside joke. Sorry.
No, it's yeah. You don't you must not have another idea to in return to.
No expectations.
Yes, no expectation. Yes,
Mhm.
that is the one. No expectation.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. When I just have the word giving, I immediately think of material giving, donating to a cause or tithing, or so we all have very different interpretations, which is why I asked, because I just wanted to hear what your interpretation was. And I want to share a poem with you by Khalil Gibran. And it's about giving, and I think it really touches almost on everything that we've talked about tonight. And we'll take turns reading, and we'll each read a paragraph. They're short paragraphs. So I'm going to make it a bit bigger. And then, Carrie, why don't you start?
It would be nice if I could see it.
Sorry. Victor, why don't you start?
Sure. You give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. For what are your possessions but things you kept and guard for fear you might need them tomorrow? And tomorrow, what shall tomorrow bring to the overburdened dog buying bonds in the draggy sun and the follow the pilgrims to the holy city? Wow, I should have read it before. Okay, and what is fear or need but need itself? Is not rid of thirst when your well is full, the thirst that is unquenchable.
And
Sorry, I don't know if it makes sense. I normally need to read because English is not my language.
it's okay.
I understood very little of that.
I'm going to reread that paragraph just so that we can all be on the same page. And this is On Giving by Khalil Gibran. You give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. For what are your possessions but things you keep and guard for fear you may need them tomorrow? And tomorrow, What shall tomorrow bring to the overprudent dog, burying bones in the trackless sand, as he follows the pilgrims to the holy city? And what is fear of need, but need itself? Is not dread of thirst when your well is full, the thirst that is unquenchable? Becky Joe?
It is.
It is well.
We're up
It
here.
is,
There are those.
What,
sorry. There are those who give little of the much which they have, and they give it for recognition, and their hidden desires make their gifts unwholesome. And there are those who have little and give it all. These are the believers in life and the bounty of life, and their coffer is never empty. There are those who give with joy, and that joy is their reward. And there are those who give with pain, and that pain is their baptism. And there are those who give and know not pain in giving, nor do they seek joy, nor give with mindfulness of virtue. They give as in yonder valley the myrtle breeze its fragrant. They give as in yonder valley the myrtle breeze its fragrance into space. Through the hands of such of these God speaks, and from behind their eyes he smiles upon the earth.
Sebastian, would you like to read one or two sentences?
No problem. It's well to give when asked, but it's better to give unasked, through understanding, and to open hand the search for one who shall receive its joy greater than giving. And there
Is there aught?
is there aught you would withhold? All you have shall someday be given. Therefore, give now, that the season of giving may be yours, and not your
Inheritors.
inheritors.
Excellent. Your reading has improved.
Thank you.
You often say,
okay.
I would give, but only to the deserving. The trees in your orchard say not so, nor the flocks in your pasture. They give that they may live, for to withhold is to perish. Surely he who is worthy to receive his days and his nights is worthy of all else from you. And he who has deserved to drink from the ocean of life deserves to fill his cup from your little stream. And what desert greater shall there be than that which lies in the courage and the confidence, nay, the charity of receiving? And who are you, that men should rend their bosom and unveil their pride, that you may see their worth naked and their pride unabashed? See first that you yourself deserve to be a giver, and an instrument of giving. For in truth it is life that gives unto life, while you, who deem yourself a giver, are but a witness. Victor?
And you receivers, and you are all receivers, assume no weight of gratitude, lest you light a yoke upon yourself and upon him who gives. Rather rise together with the giver of his gifts as on wings. For the over mindful of your debt is to doubt his generosity, who has a free-hearted earth for mother and God for father.
What, if anything, stuck out for you, and this is a question for everybody, jumped out at you from that reading?
To me, it really enhances what I said before. When you feel good with yourself, when you are satisfied with yourself, you can give yourself to others. And you are not looking at possessions of doubting somebody's capacity by offering help that they might not need or appreciate. But rather be yourself and really shine and really give them yourself. And that's what I understand from this poem. And really, when you give yourself, I belong to a program which is peace education program, and we go to centers and this program to people who have been in really bad situations, so they have problems to cope up with their life. And it's just magnificent because you give without giving anything, but you give yourself. And you really feel that appreciation of making life be use you as a tool to give joy itself. That's what I get from this.
Thank you. Becky Jo or Carrie or Sebastian, did anything jump out at you from that reading, or are you left with any feelings or thoughts?
This is Carrie. I was left with beautiful medicine that I was in. I was having difficulty hearing clearly everyone, but I was just very peaceful listening to it. And just from what I received, it just seemed like there were so many different aspects of giving.
Thank you. Becky Jo, Sebastian, did anything stick out for you in that reading?
He gives his nice smile to everyone.
I think the reason why I really love that reading, what really sticks out for me every time, there's two parts. One, and I like the poetry of the words, but also what's in the words. It's the part where it's talking about people who, there are those who give who give and know not pain in giving, nor do they seek joy, nor give with mindfulness of virtue. They give as in yonder valley, the myrtle breathes its fragrance into space. And to me, what that's saying is simply by just being ourselves, and this is very much in alignment, I think, with Victor, what you were saying earlier, we give to the world around us by being the gift that we are and that we were born to be. And by being who we are, we don't have to worry about whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing, or am I losing, or am I not going to have enough, or is somebody going to notice that I gave? It's just who we are. And the trees in your orchard aren't worried about whether that person deserves your gift or not. They just give because if they don't, they'll die. And to me, it's just such a beautiful reminder to exhale gratitude and to inhale peace. And when I inhale peace and I exhale gratitude, then I don't have to worry. So that's why I like that reading. So thank you all for being here tonight and for sharing your with us. I'm super excited, Becky Jo, about the 14 pounds. And I can't wait to see your website, Victor. I'm very excited about that and about your institute. It's going to be really cool to see that coming into being. And Carrie, when I hear about just you taking more time for yourself and being outside and supporting your family the way that you love to support your family, it's such a wonderful feeling for me. So thank you for sharing that with me, all of you. And
Thank you.
what are you looking forward to in this next week?
Some gardening, some making some choices in seeds and covering the garden, and that's what I'm looking at for next week.
Wonderful.
And going to the beach with my daughter.
And the beach.
Let's see what else.
What about the rest of you? Are you looking forward to anything this coming week?
To me, hopefully not get distracted and keep inhaling peace and exhaling gratitude. That will do the rest will come and go. Sometimes I don't have much to do with it. I will receive it with joy and gratitude.
I think that might be my mantra for this week. Inhale peace, exhale gratitude.
It's the most complete sentence.
I have a lot of things that I'm looking forward to this week. I'm going to a conference this weekend, the Regional Small Farms and Alternative Enterprises Conference, and I'm co-facilitating a workshop on Florida food policy. And we're planning a great Earth Day event with a nonprofit that I work with. So there's a lot of exciting things that I'm looking forward to. And I'm also looking forward to taking time to contemplate so I can get really busy. I can allow myself to get so busy, and taking time out, even if it's every day, is important. I usually start my days with some contemplation and meditation. And I think for me, it's valuable to add that into the end of the day also, so I can review my day and prepare myself for the next day and get my mindset how I want. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And Becky, Joe, and Sebastian, what are you looking forward to?
I'm going back home
To see Caitlin.
on Monday, and
To see Caitlin.
and I will retake my routine. No?
You're excited about retaking a routine? That's what you're excited about? This man needs help.
I can understand that. Getting back to what's familiar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Lovely. And Becky, Joe, you looking forward to anything?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Sebastian leaving.
Having your house.
I'm looking forward to my house being cleaned on Saturday. I have one of my students is coming back to visit, so he's coming for dinner, so that'll be nice. And I have a new student arriving on Saturday, so it's a busy weekend.
Yes, it is. All right. Well, thank you all very much for sharing this evening and this time with me. And I look forward to seeing you next week for our last session. Same time, same place.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks so much. Good night.